Every myth humans return to, every religion, every ancient story, every hero's journey shares the same inner blueprint. Carl Jung believed this wasn't a coincidence. He believed our minds weren't just shaped by memories, but were shaped by patterns hidden deep in the psyche. He called these pattern archetypes. In the human psyche, four archetypes were always present. The ego, the conscious self, the chooser, the one that says, I will go. The shadow, everything you deny, suppress, fear, or forget. The anima/animus, the inner soul, intuition, emotion, vulnerability, creativity, truth. The self, the total psyche, the wholeness you return to after integrating everything you've abandoned. Every dream you have, every breakdown, every transformation, these forces collide, merge, and reshape you. When a person begins confronting their shadow and restoring their soul, Jung calls this process individuation, becoming whole. Most people never attempt this. Most people live far away from their unconscious, but Shadow of the Colossus is different. It is a Jungian psychology in the form of a journey, a myth you don't just watch, you walk into. Wander is the ego, the Colossi are the shadow, Mono is the anima, Agro is the instinct, Lord Emon is the superego, the persona, society's control, and the forbidden land is the unconscious, pure, untouched, and irreversible. Once you understand this, the entire story becomes something else. There's a place in Shadow of the Colossus that doesn't feel like a normal location, where silence feels older than time, and where light watches you more than you watch it. When Wander crosses that endless bridge, he isn't just entering a forbidden land, he's crossing into the unconscious, and you cross with him. The farther Wander rides, the smaller the outside world becomes. This bridge is the line every myth makes you cross before transformation. The moment Wander enters the forbidden land, the rules change. Try to leave, you'll be blown back by a violent wind, not because of the game design, because of inner transformation is one way. Once you convert your shadow, you cannot return to who you were. At the heart of this silent land stands the shrine of worship, ancient, symmetrical, still, in the center of the psyche. And at the bottom of the temple, on an altar, lies a woman named Mono, white dress, pale skin, bare feet, stillness that feels divine, not dead. Most players think she's just a dead girl, but in Jungian terms, Mono is something deeper. Mono is the anima, the inner female soul, the intuition, emotional, creative truth Wander has lost. Her cursed fate is symbolic. It represents what happens when your inner truth becomes unacceptable to your external world. She isn't lifeless. She's inaccessible, like a part of yourself you can no longer touch. Her white dress symbolizes purity, not innocence, but spiritual cleanliness. Her bare feet symbolize vulnerability, authenticity, soul to earth contact. Mono is what Wander sacrificed within himself. Now he risks everything to restore it. Then a voice arrives, not from the shadows, but from above, the ceiling light. Dormin speaks with two tones, masculine and feminine, united. Nothing Dormin says is a lie. Nothing is manipulative. Dormin is not a demon. Dormin is self, the complete psyche, the part of you that sees the truth you deny. Dormin lays out reality without emotion. Because the self does not comfort, it reveals. In Dormin's condition, destroy the Colossi, incarnation of idols. If they fall, the idols will crumble. He's basically telling you to face the parts of you that you don't want to. Dormin instructs Wander to raise the ancient sword into the light. And when he does, the beam splits into one direction. The sword is intuition. It doesn't just show you the whole path, only where the truth lies. That's how intuition works in real life. Never the full map, only the signal. Once Wander reaches the Colossus, the sword points exactly where to attack. And Dormin will sometimes whisper strategies to help you. The shadow is not your enemy. It is your teacher. Each Colossus feels ancient, sacred, tragic, not monsters, but monuments. 16 giants, 16 forgotten selves, 16 shadows Wander abandoned somewhere in his mind. When they fall, they bleed black. Because the shadow truth is painful. Every defeat ends in the same way. Wander collapses. Shadow tendrils pierce him. His body decays. His eyes turn the same blue as the Colossi. This is not corruption, this is integration. Piece by piece, Wander absorbs the parts of him he denied. He becomes less human and more whole. To understand his story, you must understand Wander. Wander is ego, the conscious self. Not a selfish ego, not an arrogant ego. The Jungian ego, the chooser, the seeker, the one who says, I'll go. I will say what I love. I will cross that line. Wander does not begin as a hero. He begins as a boy with devotion so absolute it becomes obsession. That's what makes him human. His courage is naive, his will pure, his desperation is honest. As the Colossi fall, Wander dissolves, eyes glowing, skin cracking, horns forming from beneath the surface. He doesn't look corrupted. He looks integrated. A human becoming something more than a human. By the time he reaches the final Colossus, he is no longer Wander as we knew him. He is what the psyche looks like after confronting 16 shadows, a being the world can't understand, but the soul does. While Wander weakens, Agro remains strong. She doesn't question him. She doesn't fear the land. She doesn't refuse the path. Agro represents instinct, the body, the ground of wisdom, the physical strength that carries the psyche through madness. That is why her fall hurts so deeply. Instinct sacrifices itself so ego can descend fully into the unconscious. And her return at the end is the lesson. Instinct never dies. Lord Emon arrives with masked followers and a white horse, symbols of law, purity, and divine authority. He is a superego, the force of society, morality, and control. He is also the persona, the mask you wear to fit the world. He sees Wander not as transformed, but as corrupted. He throws the sword into the water, in cleansing ritual. He orders Wander killed. His followers nearly succeed, but society destroys what it can't understand. And when Emon seals the land, the bridge collapses. You cannot return to a person you were once you descend into your unconscious. Dormin does not abandon Wander. He defends him, rising fully when Wander has no strength. This isn't possession, it's completion. The shadow merges with the ego. The self protects the transformation, but the world rejects it. Wander dies and is reborn, a baby with horns. The symbol of spiritual transformation, the symbol of Iko, the symbol of innocence fused with knowledge. Mono awakens, walks again, the anima is restored. Agro returns, limping, loyal. Instinct has returned with the soul, and together they ascend toward the garden above, a paradise only accessible after the descent. Wander is ego, the seeker, the conscious self, the will. Mono is anima, inner soul, intuition, purity, emotional truth. Dormin equals self, total psyche, shadow plus light unified. Agro equals instinct, the body, survival wisdom, grounded nature. Colossi equals shadow. 16 repressed truths Wander must integrate. Forbidden land equals unconscious. Irreversible descent into the inner world. Lord Emon equals superego/persona, societal to control, moral judgment, fear of the inner truth. Wander's rebirth equals individualism, integration of shadow, restoration of soul, emergence of new self. Child of Colossus is not about just killing giants. It's about confronting mirrors. Every Colossi you defeat is a part of yourself. Every collapse is a death of who you used to be. Every tendril of darkness is the truth returning home. This isn't a tragedy. This is a transformation. You don't just watch Wander fall. You watch him become whole. Because Shadow of the Colossus was never about a shadow at all. It was about the consciousness. And the journey you witnessed is the oldest journey in the human soul. The descent into darkness to bring back the light. You know, the more I sit with this story, I realized it wasn't just telling me something new. It was reminding me of something I already knew, but forgot. Because at some point, we are all Wander. We cross a bridge into something we don't understand. We all chase something we lost. Something we felt in our chest long before we could explain it. And we all fight things that look like monsters. Until we realize they're just pieces of ourselves we left behind. And maybe that's why this game hits so deep. Not because of the giants, or the empty land, or the tragedy. But because it shows you what it means to change, what it costs to grow, and what it takes to reclaim a part of yourself. When you finish this journey, you're not supposed to walk away the same. You're supposed to feel like Wander at the end. A little cracked, a little reborn, and somehow more whole than before. If this story stays with you, good. Because the truth is, every one of us has a forbidden lands inside. Every one of us is carrying a mono we lost, a Dormin we're scared to hear, a shadow we refuse to face, and a version of ourselves we are trying to become. And if there is one mission I think this game leaves behind is, don't be afraid of the parts of yourself you don't understand yet. That's where transformation lives. Make the change you want to see. Go deep into yourself.